All right, so let's say you get invited to a special occasion. Could be a wedding, could be a birthday. But either way, you have to bring a bottle of wine. Now, you certainly don't want to look like everybody else who's got a bottle of wine under their arm. So what do? Well, you can make one of these. This is a very nice little wine box. It's really quick to make. It's very simple. And if you have a laser, you can make one. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. So let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Steve here, and welcome back to the shop. Now, I finally caught up on a bunch of my shop work, so I have some free time, and what I wanted to do was do a project that's a little more fun, also a good project for beginners. I've looked at the analytics on the channel, and quite a few viewers are new. It's their first time as a maker, so they're really just getting going, and they want a project where they can get some kind of gratification for cutting it out. So what I thought I'd do is show you how I designed this simple wine box. It's got a nice hinged lid and, so nice touches, some engraving on the front. You could also put it on, well, really any of the sides or the lid. And there's also a cutout here for someone to view the label on the bottle of wine without having to take it out of the box. Anyway, it's a really simple project. If you have a CO2 laser or a diode laser, you can build this. It's 3mm Baltic birch or poplar. I happen to have poplar, so that's what I used here. And you can cut this out and assemble it in an hour. And within an hour and a half, you got a bottle of wine in it and you're headed to your occasion. So with that context, I'll show you how I did all of this, and we'll start with the design. All right, so before we get started, we need to do a design, and I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Rather than design something from scratch in Inkscape or Fusion 360, I'm going to start with boxes.py. It's a very well-known site for laser cutters. I certainly recommend it if you're doing something, but I'm going to create a basic outline here, and then I'm going to modify it in Inkscape. And I've changed actually very few settings here. So I changed the finger setting and the space setting, which is basically the slots in the corners and the fingers in the corners, from 2 to 4. And what that does is makes half as many fingers in the finger joint, so it makes it a little nicer. And I changed the surround spaces and edge width, or set them to 1. They might have been the defaults, I can't remember. And what that does is forces a number of holes in the bottom for the bottom plate to sit in. Just to make it stronger, I want at least three fingers in the finger joint. And that's it for that. And now in the actual box settings, I want a straight edge at the top. And at the bottom edge, I want the bottom plate embedded into the sides so that it gives it extra strength. And I set the width and length, so the X and Y, which is the dimensions of the bottle, to 80. It's about 80 millimeters or 75 millimeters around. And I'll set the height actually to 325. And I'm going to use finger joints. I won't put a lid on it here because I'm going to add the lid in Inkscape, in part because I don't like how boxes.py generates lids. And the rest of this is just stock. And I can do a test generation, and you can see it actually put the labels on here, and it put the slots in for the bottom plate. Now I will actually modify the sides here, the right and left side, to put a hinge in, and I'll show you how I did that. And that's the design. We can save it here. One thing I should call out specially here is I uncheck the outside checkbox, which by default measures your box from the outside dimensions. I specifically want the inside dimensions here because I'm putting something inside the box that's a particular size. So that's the design. Let me shove it into Inkscape and I'll show you what I did. All right, so I pushed the design into Inkscape here, and I did a few modifications. So on the left and right panels, what I did was created this small circle with a square in the middle, and that'll get cut out. So what we'll end up with at the end is a circle with a hole in it, a square hole, and then I created a new panel that wasn't in the original boxes.py design. And it's just got a couple of little tabs. These are where the hinges go in, and what I'm going to do is slide those circles with the square onto the sides and glue them in. And then when I assemble this, I'll put them back into these holes, and that will act as the hinge. Bottom is the same. Other than that, the left and right panels are the same. Back is unchanged. Now in the front panel, I did a bit more work, and the first thing I did was I added a rectangle at the top, and that's so that the lid can snap into it. This tab that's hanging out here can fit into that hole. And I also put an optional cutout in. I made it a different color, so in Lightburn, if you don't want to cut it out, you can just turn that layer off. But what it's there for is to show you the label of the wine bottle. So, you know, if you want to do something fancy, you can show somebody and they can look at the label without. But you can turn that off if you just want to have an actual solid box. You don't have to show the label. And just for fun, I put some kind of, celebratory wording on it, a congratulations in this point, and a laurel just to make it fun. You can put anything you want. And that's the design. And what I'm going to do now is push this over to Lightburn, and I'll show you the settings I used for that. And here we are in Lightburn. I've loaded the file in. Now, my material is 300 millimeters tall and 600 millimeters long, which is 1 foot by 2 foot, basically. So all of this isn't going to fit on a single sheet. So what I'm going to do for now is I'll zoom in here, and what I'll do is I'll take the front panel. I'm just going to put it over here for now because I want to take all three of the other three panels, and I'll rotate them to the other orientation because my material is in there the long way. And I'll just put them like that, and the lid and the bottom should fit on the end here, which gives us 480. So we have lots of material left. Now this one, what I'm going to do with it is I will just turn it into some other random color for now and turn it off. And I'm also going to turn off the red layer because that's the labels. We don't want those. So that's what we'll do here. And I'll cut these 5 pieces out, and then I'll go back and I'll cut the front panel. All right, now it's time to put the box together. No magic here. It'll take about 10 minutes, and I'm certainly not going to bore you with 10 minutes of gluing. But you can see what I did here was take some Type-On 3 glue, and I just brushed it on all of the tabs on the sides of the box panels, and then put them together. Now the lid with the circular pins that got glued up, you have to make sure those get into the holes provided on the left and right side panels. You can just flex the panel a bit before the glue sets and get it in there. Make sure you don't get glue in around the pin, otherwise the lid won't work. And again, once it's all in there, you can tape it all up, and that's it. Wait a half an hour or an hour, and the glue will be dry. And peel the blue tape off, and you have a box. All right, so once we peel the tape off the box, it's pretty much finished here, and we'll take a close look at that hinge first. You can see there's a small circle there. I glued them in, and the pins on the lid just slide into those, and when the glue dries, you get this nice kind of three-dimensional lid that sits in those holes and rotates very nice and free. So that's the only magical mechanic piece here. Other than that, we're ready to drop the box down here and put our bottle of wine in. So we open the hinge door and put our wine in, in my case, I created a hole for the label, so we turn the bottle out in that direction, close the lid, and we're ready to go, and off we go to our party. So that's it. It's a really simple project, and like I said, if you have a CO2 laser or diode laser, doesn't matter. You can make this as long as you got some 3mm material. You'll have no trouble with this. And I'll put the design certainly up on my site for members, and if you're not a member, feel free to click that join button down there. What I'll also do, because some people said they would rather just buy plans as they need them, what I'll do is I'll put it up on Etsy for a minimal amount as well, and I'll put a link down below for where that is on my Etsy page. And with that, we can wind down. I'll put a couple of other videos up above here. Click on those if you're interested and go watch them, and I'll see you over there. As always, get out there, make your world, and I'll see you next time.